Hi everybody, welcome to month number 5. And this month, I'm going to show you how to add some motion to your quilting with the Amelia ruler. This ruler is inspired by flying geese. So I'm sure that we've all heard of a flying geese type quilting block. So it's typically a piece block. Well, with the modern movement, we've seen a lot of flying geese quilting designs, and we're going to incorporate some of those into this quilt with curvy flying geese. So that's going to add a lot of movement and direction to our work and really just kind of add some excitement to the overall piece and to the visual aesthetic of the piece. So I hope you're having a great time again. Hope you're learning lots and lots, and this is one of my favorite rulers, so I know you're going to love it. We're going to begin this design working from the corner of block number 5 and just kind of going off the upper right hand corner of the quilt. Now there are many different kind of wavy lines that you'll see that you've marked already, and some of them are going to be reserved for some of the feather designs that we're going to do in later months, but for this one we're going to use that main curve that we've marked. I find that from an aesthetic standpoint, things will move better if they begin in a larger shape, working from a lower left corner, and then starting to become smaller as you work upward. So it creates a little bit more weight at the bottom with the larger shape, and then a lighter feeling with the smaller shape as it moves upwards towards the upper right hand corner of the quilt. And that's just something that's a personal opinion. If you feel that it's better to start with the smaller shape and kind of progress upwards to the larger shape, you can do that as well. Remember, you're the creative boss here, so you get to be the judge of how you like to use the rulers and what you're going to do with them. So the ruler has a grid line marked onto it, and that is going to help you to keep the center points squared away. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to want to do here as we start is we're going to begin off the center portion of the quilt. So actually we're working kind of into the block designs that we've already done. So that way we're going to get a lot more depth and dimension. Quilting is really about adding depth and dimension to your work, and that's why we use batting and thread and things that are going to add that dimension that we're looking for. And by having that overlapping of designs, you're going to really accentuate that plus or bonus. So I'm going to position the ruler so that the point of the ruler lines up with the wavy line. Let me pull it out so you can see what I'm talking about here. Just like so. So that point is going to be where I'm going to stop. So at that entry point, there's again an opening in the ruler, and that's going to be where the point is made. So I'm going to line that up with the curvy line, and I'm going to want to start on one edge. Now this first initial design is going to have kind of a stopping point and a starting point. So we're going to place the foot in the down position, and we're going to do a few locking stitches here like so. So lock your stitches real well. Make sure that your needle's always landing in the down position, and then leaning up against that edge. Now with this one you're going to want to go a little bit faster. Okay. Once you hit the corner there, you're just going to shift your weight and go the other direction. Now here, this is going to be a stopping point. So if we want to go ahead and stop and cut our threads, we're free to do that. Or if we want to backtrack a little bit, we can take the ruler out, lower the foot again, and use one of the straight edges of the Amelia ruler as a straight edge to travel along where we've already stabilized the quilt. So I'm going to travel along that edge there. by holding the ruler about 1/4 of an inch away from that stitch line, and then just stitch nice and slowly. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to travel to the line that I've drawn, the little wavy line. And when I get to that wavy line that I drew, I'm going to do a little bit of free motion quilting. So this is going to be adding extra details to that center line. So if you feel not as comfortable doing free motion quilting, then maybe do something a little bit simpler, or even use the straight edge of the ruler just to follow that line. The purpose of that line, or the technique of following along it, is to eliminate backtracking. So we're not having to backtrack along any edges, and we're also not having to stop, cut our thread, and start again. So first I'm going to show you a very simple wavy line. So I'm just kind of moving the fabric back and forth, and I'm just using my fingertips to guide the fabric where I want it to go. Once I get to the point, which is where I'll be starting the next triangle, I'm going to raise my foot, put the ruler back in place, and starting at the base of the triangle, I'm going to line up the center point of the base of the triangle, and then look above and line up the center top point of the ruler with the wavy line. Now with this ruler, there are 4 ovals, 1 in each corner, and it helps if you hold your hands in this type of a fashion and use those ovals. So I think that this is one of the best designs for really having control on the ruler because of the ergonomics of the tool. If you need to stop and reposition your hands, go ahead and stop the quilting and then reposition whatever you need to reposition. Don't try to do all of those things as you're quilting or as you're moving. That's when you're going to end up with a little hiccup. Here we go. Now we're going to work right on back down. Once you feel the corner hit, then you just shift your weight. Manage your bulk. Now here I'm going to show you something a little bit different. I'm going to show you how to incorporate a different type of a design. So we're going to do more of a figure 8 design here. So this one's a little bit more advanced. So if you feel like you're wanting to try something a little bit different, this is your shot. So I'm just going to go back and forth from left to right, incorporating a little teardrop shape. Trying to work in a very even fashion so that my stitch length stays consistent. And then that allows me to travel back up to the point again, so then I can just continue sliding my ruler. This is probably one of my favorite designs to do with ruler work. It's a real versatile design. It adds a lot of movement and excitement in your quilting. So anytime I do this quilting design throughout the body of a quilt, it gets a lot of attention because it does add that movement, and people like to see movement when they're looking at quilts. All right, here we go again. Okay, keep on rolling that bulk. And now I'm going to show you another option for your free motion quilting. We're going to do little curly cues that alternate from left to right. And we're using the white line that we drew as our center guide. Remember that using this tool as kind of a quilting hoop will help us to execute our free motion quilting designs. And then you're just gonna work wavy, wavy, wavy back up to the point. Okay, so now we've finished 3 of the larger geese, and it's a good time to swap it out and switch over to the smaller goose here. so that it can just add a little bit of interest. And just reposition the ruler, manage your bulk of your fabric, lower your foot, check all of your positions to make sure that you have your centers lined up the way they need to be and the point of your triangular shape lined up to the wavy line you've marked. Once you've got everything positioned, then you're just going to continue working in this fashion and creating those curvy lines. This is a great design to keep practicing that weight distribution. You'll start to find a nice rhythm in which edge you're leaning onto. And then if you need to pause before you do your free motion quilting, that's a good place to do it. Now, another thing that I want you to think about is if you really do not want to do any free motion quilting whatsoever, you can keep your ruler very still and backtrack. So let me show you on the next one how that's going to work. So let's keep on moving up, lining everything up. Okay, so I'm going to work real hard on this one to keep my ruler in its position. And that doesn't mean pressing down on the ruler. You're not pressing down really, really hard on it. You're just keeping it very stable. So I just went right on through, leaning up against the edge of the ruler, and I didn't really move it or let it slip. So I got really good backtracking. So that's an option as well. And if you want to do that option, you might even think about alternating the side that you backtrack along. So maybe since I did the left side here, as I work upwards, I might do the right side. So let's see how that looks. Let's go ahead and continue sliding. And this technique works best on gradual curves. So if you're trying to do a real aggressive curve, it's not going to work out quite as nicely as with this real gradual curve. As you start to approach the circle, so you're going to meet up with that block that we did last month with Daisy May. So as you meet up with that circle, you're going to want to just let it kind of fall into the shape. And this is where we're going to kind of let that shape fall underneath the previous shape, the circle. So just go ahead and reposition your ruler. Start to quilt the triangle, and then once you meet up with that circle, you're just going to kind of travel along it a little bit here, and then do a little bit of that free motion quilting, or cut your thread to travel back out, and then travel along the goose, and then work right back along the next side. So that's going to give us the really neat dimension that we're looking for with our quilting. And then on the other side, we're going to do the same thing, just let that shape kind of fall right underneath the circular shape as it approaches it. And then you're just going to slide through the circle and let it pop out the upper edge of that circle in the same way that we've done. So go ahead and complete this curvy line. And once you're done, we're going to move right on back down to block 8 again. So this is one that we started last month with the Daisy May, and now this month we're going to add a little bit more to it. So now that we've finished the curvy line and done our curvy flying geese design, we're going to come back to block number 8, which is a block that we previously added a little bit of Daisy May work to. So this is just going to give you a different application for this ruler. Remember to be thinking of different techniques and different designs that you can do with the various rulers, because you don't want to have a tool that you can only use for one design. You want to make sure that you're thinking of different things that you can do. This is a very, very versatile tool that you can use in a lot of different applications. And with it being the size of a traditional flying geese block or border in terms of the measurements of it, you can use it to do inner kind of echo sections of a border design or a block design. So there's a lot of different things you can do with it. Now here, going back to block number 8, we're going to use the larger of the 2 triangles, and we're going to bring the tool up so that we're looking at this small registration line, and we're going to line it up here with the edge of our triangle, the edge of our block. Now we're also going to line up the center point, and we're just going to do one triangle here. That's just going to kind of add a little bit of balance to our quilting. When you have too much open space, it can add a little bit of wrinkling to your quilting. Alrighty, so here we go. Alright, so just a few small kind of locking stitches in place. Now you're going to notice that we're going to go ahead and quilt right on through the designs we created with Daisy May. And that's perfectly fine. It's just going to give us a real fun kind of dimensional look. I'm going to go back to our starting point, do a few locking stitches in place, and then we're all done with block number 8. So we've now completed 5 months in our Ruler Mastery Series program. I hope that you're having a great time and seeing improvement. You should be noticing that your stitch length is being more consistent and you're having an easier time manipulating the ruler tools. I hope that you're remembering to put your unique stamp on your work and make your quilt your own. Make what you like, what you want to see. So in the next few months, you're going to see a little bit more difficulty in the designs that we're doing and in the applications that we're using. So thank you again for joining us in month 5, and I look forward to seeing you next month for month 6.